Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're tracking the absolute rocket ship rise of Austin Russell. In an era where massive tech fortunes are usually built on software apps or viral social media platforms, Russell took a completely different, honestly much harder route. He built a highly complex, physical hardware company literally from the ground up and scaled it to industry dominance. If you're looking to understand the real mechanics of scaling deep tech into the traditional legacy automotive market, well, this is a seriously fascinating case study.
Did you know one of America's youngest billionaires made his fortune before turning 30? It's a pretty striking reality. Think about it. When we hear about massive wealth at that age, it almost always falls into one of two buckets. It's either inherited wealth or it's a software phenomenon that just caught incredible viral scale. So achieving this level of net worth by actually building and manufacturing physical technology, that is incredibly rare.
Hitting that exact barrier of 30 firmly establishes his fortune within a very, very elite category of self-made billionaires here in the United States. But what makes this milestone truly staggering isn't just his age, it's the arena he chose to play in. He didn't just disrupt a nimble, fast-moving digital space. No, he broke into the automotive industry. That is a notoriously slow, heavily capital-intensive legacy sector that usually takes decades to successfully navigate.
At the absolute center of this milestone is Austin Russell and the vehicle for his massive success, Luminar. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer scale of the problem he tackled. Generating wealth at this massive level requires solving equally massive, complex issues. And for the automotive industry, the great frontier right now is autonomous driving. More specifically, the challenge of autonomous vision, meaning giving cars the reliable ability to actually see and react to the world around them. And that is exactly the puzzle Luminar set out to solve.
So, Luminar develops advanced sensors for self-driving cars. But to really grasp the value here, we have to talk about LiDAR. That stands for light detection and ranging. Instead of just relying on standard cameras, which, let's face it, really struggle in bad lighting or unpredictable weather, Luminar's LiDAR uses laser pulses. It essentially creates a highly accurate, real-time 3D map of the car's surroundings. By engineering LiDAR systems that can literally see hundreds of meters ahead with millimeter precision, Russell positioned his company at the absolute forefront of a multi-billion-dollar transportation shift.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the trajectory from a mere idea to a dominant market player is a stark contrast. Listen, this wasn't an overnight corporate spin-off. Russell actually started tinkering with this highly complex photonics technology at just 17 years old, right in his parents' garage. From those humble teenage origins, he navigated through a supercritical startup phase, which eventually led to a massive IPO that catapulted his personal stake straight into the billions. But jumping from a garage project to a major enterprise, that required a crucial catalyst, and that came in the form of Peter Thiel. Now, this wasn't just your standard venture capital support. Russell actually won the prestigious Thiel Fellowship. If you aren't familiar, this program famously awards brilliant young minds $100,000, but with one major catch. They have to drop out of college to pursue their startups. So Russell literally left Stanford University to build Luminar full-time. It was a bold move that provided massive institutional validation, signaling to the entire market that his LiDAR tech was absolutely worth betting on.
So the crucial point is that progression from raw technical talent to a public company is really all about momentum. First, it starts with getting a massive head start by developing deep technical expertise early on. Then, securing that high-profile institutional validation completely bridges the gap between a cool prototype and a real, viable business. Finally, taking the company public provides the ultimate leverage required to scale up to mass production. It is essentially a masterclass in turning a teenage tech project into a scalable enterprise.
And when Luminar went public, it wasn't just a magical explosion of wealth based on hype. It was grounded in serious, undeniable business traction. The broader market heavily valued Luminar because they weren't just theoretical anymore. Major automakers, those massive OEMs, were actively signing deals to integrate this LiDAR tech into their next-generation fleets. And because he maintained his vision and, critically, his ownership through the IPO, that commercial validation pushed his personal stake past the $1 billion mark literally overnight.
And this brilliantly illustrates our final takeaway: proof that a single idea can change your life. It's a really compelling thought, isn't it? But Austin Russell's journey proves that the idea is only the starting line. The real blueprint here is about the conviction to build complex hardware instead of just taking the easier software route, and the relentless execution required to solve hard, physical problems in the real world. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Having an idea is easy. But do you have the conviction to execute it against the odds, even when it requires building the absolute hardest things in the real world?